Hey, this is Hallie with Artsy Shark, and today we're going to be taking a look in Canva for some ideas to inspire you for your own email newsletters. There are so many possibilities in Canva, and I love this platform. This is something that I use as a virtual assistant, which is my job full time working for artists like you. And I would highly recommend that you consider this as an option to elevate your email newsletters. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so the first design we're going to take a look at is a simple header, and it doesn't get simpler than this. The background of this is our branded colors. This header is actually used in our own Artsy Shark newsletter, and this is also branded with our colors and our font of choice. So we're using Oswald here, which is not available in Flowdesk. So it's kind of cool to be able to utilize this in Canva and then just insert it as an image. So everything still remains branded, even though we're using this font, which isn't available there. Something like this is a great way to break up a wall of text in an email newsletter. For example, in our newsletters, we have artist opportunities, clearly, as you can see here. We have featured artists, we have what's new, we have e-courses, all sorts of different things. And this is just kind of a branded way for us to segment that wall of text into bite-sized pieces. Here's another example of a header that I created for an artist, and this is using that artist's own work. And this is very simply done. All I did was in Canva create a blank banner and I added the artwork. And so this is a zoomed in portion, which looks gorgeous as the top of an email newsletter. And this is something that you could reuse over and over again, or you could switch this out to be new artwork within this template every time you've got something new. You can see, for example, going back to this banner and then going to this one, these are different sizes. You could easily resize this to be anything you want to be. So you can custom size this to make it skinnier like the one before, or you could leave it as it is. Here's another example of a banner. And again, this is one where you could feature 3 pieces, maybe change out this color as the months go on. Maybe for autumn or something, you're going to want to go with more earth tones. Maybe you want it to just be branded to you if you've got 4 or 5 branded colors that suit your artwork. Of course, you could also go neutral here. So you could use this template again and again. You could reuse this in every newsletter, simply changing the color and switching out these 3 images, which are close-ups of this artist's artwork. So again, this is a way to save you time in the future. Once you make this template, reuse it again and again. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. This is a great example of a way to add movement and a little pop of interest into your email newsletters. Where most email newsletters are static, you can create simple Gifs that could go in. This is the artist that we looked at actually previously. This is another one of her work right here. But here we go, so we can kind of see what this looks like. So it's a scroll through, and this looks very tech savvy to me. You know, when you're integrating videos with still shots, you're able to use something like a simple screen recording of a couple seconds of a scroll and then make this look high tech and really cool and elevated and branded as well. Here we're going to take a look at another option for your email newsletters. Something you may want to consider is creating segments in your audience when you're sending out email newsletters. Maybe you have a segment of interior designers, or maybe you just want to do an email where you're focused on, the colors, how it fits into a room. Maybe you're working on that to upsell your artwork from a more interior design perspective. Creating something like this is a simple circle where you could change the color to be anything. In here, you can see that it will automatically pull colors from the photos. Of course, the colors this is pulling aren't the ones I want. So you could also go in and select individual colors to pull them out, which is how I created this. But something like this, it looks more sophisticated and it has a purpose for people who are picking artwork for their house by color theory. In this example, we can see a Christmas gift guide. Creating something like this, and this looks like it's straight out of a magazine. It looks like it could be a layout in, some kind of cool exhibit where something more high end. So it's really just like a way to highlight your new releases, your best sellers. It could be anything, even if it's not Christmas. This could be back to school. This could be summer gift guide. This could just be like our best sellers, our personal favorites, our curated list. So creating little groupings and collections like this that looks fabulous can absolutely upsell your work. You could do something like an in situ image in these two, change these out, change out the text to be ones that are your branded texts. So there's really just a lot you could do with this. And it's a great way to really show off your collection and entice people to buy. It looks great. Another great choice is for when you have events coming up. In your email newsletters, part of the goal of these is to get people to different places on the internet where you want them to go, right? We want them to go to your website so that they can shop and buy your work, read your about, see the testimonials you have, etc. In this case, maybe you want them to RSVP to an event. And that can be really helpful for you having some kind of idea for what the outcome's going to be at this event. Is it going to be very popular? Are you getting kind of mixed results? It can give you an idea of what to expect. And I think that having something like a save the date is perfect. And it keeps people in the loop, especially your audience who want to know what you're up to. All right, in this example, we see a bunch of abstract work. And this is just a great way to have a website, a new collection, any kind of launch would be perfect for something like this. Because when you're sending out email marketing, you really want to get those clicks, aside from, of course, keeping up regularly with your audience. But a great idea for an email newsletter would be a new collection, new work. Here's an example where I used an existing template from Canva. So these abstract background forms, this was all pre-made, ready to go. And when you click on these, you can customize the colors of these shapes and abstract lines, and they can be your branded colors if you'd like to. Here in this image here, we can see that this is a thank you, which is a great thing to send to your audience. Any little freebies, anytime you want to say thanks, your audience appreciates that. It makes them feel valued and important. And it also, again, entices them to buy. This one has some text here. What better way to say thank you for supporting my small business than with a free gift? So things like this, people go crazy for free stuff. And this is just a great way to send a message to a customer who's already purchased from you. So they've already taken that first leap and get repeat business, which is another thing you want to do. Capture new business and keep them as customers. All right, this example, this is very simple where I created a shadow. This is another element here on Canva where you can go into elements, search shapes, graphics. Here you can see a bunch of different options for shadows and things of that nature. That makes it look like this artwork is actually hanging on the wall. And of course, this artwork is scaled to size. And so something just super simple. This is a shadow, this is the image of the artwork, and this is a background. So 3 different things, but this looks like a great in situ image. So if you're using Canva, this is a way where you could even take a photo of a room that you take instead of having to use a template or something online. There are other programs like Art Placer, Wall Art app. There's a couple out there to create in situs for you, but you can also do it in Canva. And this is probably something you could even do with the free version of Canva since it's so simple to create. This is such a fun idea. This is a Which Rooster Are You quiz. Super funny. Artist here is Amanda Johnson, who has a collection of Key West art where she has all different kinds of roosters. And creating something like a quiz, something interactive, something fun like this really, entices people to click. It's fun to get in your inbox. It again shows off a lot of her collection of roosters. And so it's a fun way to show off a collection. You could even do something like, "What vibe are you?" Or, what's your color? So even if you're a more abstract artist who doesn't have a specific like representational image for you to be like, which are you? You could really do a lot of different interesting things here. And you'll also notice that there are a lot of layouts on like MailChimp or Flowdesk where you can incorporate these kind of quiz style elements. And these, again, super fun, super interactive. All right, adding a quote is such a cool way to, you could either put a customer's testimonial, you could do a quote that just really represents your aesthetic and vibe. You could do a quote from yourself talking about your artwork. You could do a quote from somebody famous. There's a million different things you could do here. And so this having a quote template, and again, this is something that's evergreen. You could reuse this again and again, simply changing out the text and putting something different for each month or each week or whatever you want to do here. And again, this is something you could also just reshare on social media. So if I saved this would be saved as a simple GIF so that we have this white line that would be actually in movement on your email. But again, this is another just something I looked up here in Elements. You can find things like that with like arrow, line, shape, very simple stuff, very easy to create. And so you could get rid of that. You could edit this text. A lot of different stuff you could do here, and quotes are incredibly popular, especially because if they really resonate with somebody else, they're very, very shareable. All right, in this image, we have some beautiful photography of a waterfall here. Something like this, a collage template, so easy to make in Canva. This would be something where we would go into design, and then look, it's even one of the first options, photo collage. So you can see that there's just a million different collages here, and you could find one that works really well with the dimensions of your artwork, or you could also intermix close-ups, in situs, which would be that room setting image. You could really, even your logo or signature, you could intermix so many different things into a collage. And again, it's so easy to create something like that. And I can show you, of course, let's see, we just drag and drop, and then we can change that. So, million things you can do with a collage as well. Here is a great example of a giveaway post. Something we already mentioned in this video is that people go crazy for free stuff. They love it. And so having a giveaway is a great way to get customers who maybe are engaging with you, so they're warm customers, not cold, and get them to take the leap and get some artwork from you. Once somebody has something and they love it, there's so much of a more likelihood that they're going to be repeat customers and return. This kind of stuff also has the tendency to really go viral. So if you were sharing this on social media, sharing this in your email newsletter, it'd be a great way to get people to take that leap and make their first purchase. Oh, and to go with that here, we have a giveaway winner example. I love this example from Kathy Cahoe Bamback. This is such a cute little picture of her dog here with the giveaway prize. Kathy does licensed art on puzzles. She happened to have an extra one from a swag bag that she just got from the manufacturer, and she thought, why not? Why not give this away for free to really get myself out there, get some viral attention, get the marketing up, and you can have a great outcome on Instagram or other social medias where people, apply to win. They want to win that free gift from you. All right. Here is a great example from Liana Steinmetz. She created an artist book based on her drawings of the California landscape and her own specific artistic style, which I just love this. So this was something that we created together where a lot of the image is obscured here by this overlay where it's kind of peeling back paper. And that actually came from Canva, right? Oop, just deleted her artwork instead of that. Let's take a look at the layers here. So this was originally a template. And so if we go ahead, you can see that this is just a simple image overlaid on top. Right? And so you can go ahead and add over top of your artwork templates, which seems unusual, right? Normally you're putting your artwork over top of other elements to create that illusion, like we saw on that simple in situ, where I added a shadow, then added the image on top, and so you're layering upwards. And this would be the opposite, where we're actually covering the art, because this is a teaser. And so we want to build excitement and anticipation here. And so by only showing just a sliver of the printed cover of her book, you know, this is a great way to tease it before the next email where you say, here's the full cover. Let me now show you. Let me now, build from that anticipation and give you the final product. This is a fun idea. Using QR codes and adding an element of mystery, intrigue, curiosity. This is a really fun way that where you can have your audience, be interacting with you and interacting with your words and your emails and being kind of part of the fun. So people love this kind of stuff. You know, something you could consider is doing something like discover the mystery painting at the bottom of your monthly email newsletters where you're giving all your updates. And you could, use either a QR code or even just a link with, a mystery image or whatever, or just a small, for example, like this is a small fraction of the painting. So you don't see the whole thing, you just see a tiny corner and you've got to figure out what it is. It's just a cool way to build anticipation and get people interacting with you, which is the whole goal. All right. And this one is so fun. This is from an artist, Aaliyah, who creates these really fun abstract portraits. But you can see that in addition to creating art, this again kind of speaks to that interior design element where you can choose things that would make the perfect living room. Like this is all set up, ready to go. The colors look great together, the vibe, the aesthetics. You really get where she's coming from. And it also allows people to kind of like get a vibe for the final look, So when you're thinking about pairing your artwork with other things, thinking about where the final product of your art is actually going to be displayed is a great thing to be thinking about, right? Because it just gives you a lot of ways to sell to your audience and also just have a whole vibe. You want your artwork to look complete and you want it to look like it's got some place to be at the end. When you're creating artwork, you should also be thinking to yourself, where would this be displayed? All right, this is a fun one from artist Carol King Boyd. She does actually artwork in Microsoft Paint, which is why we have this very kind of pixelated Merry Christmas. And again, this is very simple to create. Something for holidays, if you want to do some kind of special bonus, always a good way to reach out to customers. And you'll notice that we do have 2 Christmas ones. This is the second, the other one we looked at earlier, because Christmas is huge. Let's be real. A lot of artists make a lot of their money for the Christmas season. People are buying gifts. But something like this is simply her logo on a transparent background. This is an element. This is some text. This is another element. And this is something that could be saved as a simple GIF again. So if she wanted to do a Christmas email, maybe advertising Christmas cards, maybe she's having a sale, whatever she wants to do, this would be a great way to catch people's attention at the very beginning of an email. All right, and now we're going to look at our very last example here. This is for artist Diana Fritzler. Absolutely love this artist's work. She is so talented. But if you're having an event like a studio flash sale, again, creating something that has some animation to it, something that could become a very simple GIF. And you don't want to go too much larger than this because there are limitations within your email provider. For example, on Flowdesk, I think it's something like 4 megabytes or something. I'd have to, I'm going to look that up and I'll put that in after I'm done editing this video. But it's just a great way to add something fun and kind of energetic into your art. Okay, well, I hope that this video was helpful. There is so much cool stuff you can do in Canva. You'll have to let us know down in the comments below which you thought was the most interesting. And I wish you all the best with your email marketing.